want to thank New Hope Missionary Baptist Church for hosting us this evening. And I'm going to ask Pastor Jakar to say a word of prayer. Just going to talk so they can hear it. And then we'll go ahead and get started.
Yes, ma'am. Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for your goodness, your greatness. Father, we thank you for loving kindness. We thank you for another opportunity we have to come together and handle business. We thank you for the Bible tells us to pray for those who have leadership over us. That's just not our pastors, but that is our city officials. So right now we pray for every officer here that represents our city. We're praying for successful, peaceful conversation. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll give a couple of updates. First, again, thank you, New Hope, for hosting us. This is what number is this? 5 or 6? Number 5 of 6, I think. So we're going to continue to do these into next year as well. The goal is to hear from you, but also answer any questions. Everybody who's a city official, please raise your hand. Stand up. It make it easier. Yes, please stand. And so any questions that you might have, we try to make sure that we have people here who can answer questions and address any concerns. I know that Sister Aprila has some of the forms in case someone wants to fill something out. Again, we have forms for you to fill out if you need to, but you're more than welcome to come to the microphone and ask a question. We're using the microphone so that Alco can hear on the video any of the questions that are asked. So thank you. You all can sit down. A couple of updates. I know today we pushed out a press release. We've had some network disruptions since Tuesday. Our IT team, I just was with them. I've been working day and night for the last 2 days, making sure they're bringing our systems up. Also, our phone system. They've been working with our local provider for the phones as well. So again, they've been working 24/7. I'm trying to I'm trying to buy them dinner and stuff so that they can at least rest for a little while, but it's their system, it's their baby, and so it's hard to pull them away from that. So we're working through that, but there's no disruption in our public health and safety or our essential services. So they are working through that. Other than that, what we've been doing at all these these town halls is basically letting you ask us questions, and then we answer them. If someone signs something, we bring it up. We'll have somebody collect it. Kelly is here. If you have a form that you want to fill out, she'll take it and put them in a pile, and I'll answer the questions. As far as updates, couple of things that I know at the last town hall, we didn't talk much about the data center, but that did pass with the council. The abatement for the equipment inside of the data center, that did pass 6-3. I know there were still questions and there was a lot of conversations, and I think that's still ongoing. I know that some people did a trip this week, so I think people are still trying to understand and learn more about it. You're seeing them all over the state right now, so a lot happening with that. Updates on housing. I know that New Hope is one of the churches that we've been working with from the Economic Development Corporation and from the city, hopefully sometime next year maybe, but working through how can we provide some additional affordable housing and senior housing by working with churches and providing some assistance to them. We did receive a grant to help with infill housing, and part of that is really working to figure that out and work side by side. We don't own a lot of property, but churches do. And we know that churches are not developers. So we want to make sure that we provide the assistance that they need to offer, some type of assistance in filling that gap for the city. But other than that, I don't have any particular updates, and I'm just ready to answer questions as we always do. So who wants to start? Anybody got it? All right, well, none.
Okay.
I'm like, come Thank you.
I'm not shy, Mayor.
I know you're not.
I live over on 11th and Franklin, over in
Yes,
that
sir.
area. So I got a couple of questions about trash, because I know trash
Yes.
is always coming up. So I know you've spoken to the city council several times about trash and garbage, especially with the bulk pickup. It continues to be a problem all over the place. In my neighborhood, there's a new pile of garbage out every week. Sometimes it's out there for months. For example, I brought some pictures that I'll share with your sanitation people after the meeting, if you like.
Trying to see if,
So this is 209 Williams Street. It's been out there for a couple weeks. 306 Detroit Street, couple weeks. 1615 Pine Street, it's been out for about a month. 907 Washington Street, been out for about a month. 127 Williams Street.
have these been called in?
It's not my house, I don't.
Oh, okay. So we
And
will
I have,
take
I
those.
have a suggestion for your people afterwards too.
Right, because what,
And I
I'll answer a couple of things, because the last time that you came with those lists, and we have a gentleman who's really spending time bringing them to
Yeah.
us, we're going out there, but we're citing them. I know DeMarcus, did I see DeMarcus?
Well, maybe they could fill me in after the meeting then.
Yeah, DeMarcus is here.
1215 Franklin Street, it's been out there for 6 weeks. 210 Main Street's been out there for about over a month. This one I want to point out, maybe for your health department, it's 1806 Franklin Street in the rear, where McGrew's Shoe used to be. It's a homeless hangout, and people go back there and use drugs, and they take a nap back there.
Magro, between, okay.
And then I also have, finally, this got picked up today after 2.5 months. It was the mattresses at 1102 Spring Street. So thank you for finally getting that out of there.
So let me,
So,
I
just
want to
wanna
make
know,
a
when can this be
suggestion.
picked up?
But I do want to make a suggestion. Instead of waiting to bring it to this, as people are calling them in, we now have a dedicated dispatcher who is a CDL driver, who's compiling those into our system. So if you see something, I'm telling people to say something, not wait a month from between the town hall meetings. Because as we get those, like, I know Brett isn't here, Mr. Kelly, but Mr. Kelly, he's driving the west side, right? They're driving different areas. And for those, between DeMarcus, you can hand those to him right now, right there. Give those to him.
Well, maybe I can speak with him after the meeting too, because I have a little bit of a plan that I'd like to share with him about how to get some of this picked up a little bit quicker. My second question about trash is, you've spoken to the city council many times about the city budget and need to raise funds. I've heard
Yes.
I've heard the videos. When will the city council get around to passing your request to charge homeowners for garbage pickup, and how much do you think the rate should be?
Let me,
That's all my
so,
questions for trash.
Michigan City, demographically, I'm not ready for us to begin doing anything like that without some type of feasibility study of some sort, whether it's internally or with the intern or whatever that is. Yes, we are the only city in the region that doesn't charge for garbage. That is a true statement. And I don't foresee doing that anytime over the next year. We don't have our own processes fully vetted and fully implemented just to do special pickups. It's all been haphazard. Just throw the couch out, somebody come get it. We haven't been charging, and what I've been sharing with the team, we have to be even-handed. So you can't charge one and not charge the other. With DeMarcus, if we see a clean out, I'm like, cite them, fine them. When you start putting $2,500 fines on people, they may not necessarily get the $2,500 fine when it's all said and done, but you know what that does? It gets their attention. They show up at the office. Hey, I got this $2,500 fine. Well, the reason why you got it is you keep putting your trash out there. And so that's one of the things that until people are consistently being cited and seeing the repercussions of it, I don't feel comfortable us charging for trash pickup, charging the whole city. I don't think that's something that I'm in favor for right now. Right now, the budget is pretty flat. We did a good job in cutting the budget last year. So we didn't really suffer like some of these cities that are talking about the major cuts that they're having and they're not giving raises this year and all that. We did all of the work last year. So right now we're in a okay space to get through another year. Next year we will be receiving our money from Gary Starting in August, we start getting our monthly amount, the money that we didn't get from our gaming wagering tax, and also the wheel tax. So we'll start getting that next year. So right now, we're going to get space that we don't need to do that. But one of the things that we have been working on, and this is all departments, and I just had this whole conversation with Andy from our IT directors. We don't have a business continuity plan. Municipalities, we just operate day to day in the day and don't plan for the future. So nothing is documented or had been documented. We're documenting now, but that hadn't been happening for years. So we just been haphazardly, using our equipment, not keeping up with the maintenance the way we should until now. Now we document everything, but you still gotta have a continuity plan. So I don't foresee charging for garbage. And whenever that happens, we have to have a fully vetted plan that deals with people who are receiving assistance, who may be on disability. If you look at other cities, they charge, but people who have certain incomes or are on receive disability checks, retiree, they have a different fee structure. So there's a whole process for that. So I don't foresee that happening in 2026. So that would be something for later. Yes, Scott, I know you. All right. Yes.
I'm Angia Tommy Kulovic, 1316 Ohio Street. Have you petitioned the... Oh, sorry.
Can you come to the microphone
Oh,
so that they can hear you on TV?
okay, no problem.
You don't have to say your address necessarily.
This is Tommy Kulovic. I just want to ask you if we petition the United States Senate office to remove the 300 railroad ties that the CSX dumped at Arthur and White Street. I know Senator Banks, he lives in Carmel. How would he like it if they dumped 300 railroad ties in Carmel where he lives, like they did in Michigan City where I live, where we all live?
Yeah, that one was given to the city engineer. Did you get that one, Kelly? So I know that one was forwarded, right? Okay, so that one we did. So we did, we took that and we gave that to city engineer to follow up on. All right,
Okay.
I didn't want to go first, so
All
I'm
right.
third. Good news, I've got good and bad, Madam Mayor.
all right.
First of all, I think you're doing a great job. I think it's a very difficult position you're in. I think you're making up for 40 or 50 years of decay in Michigan City, and that doesn't get fixed in a year or two, or even a first administration. I think this is an example of something that's good, great expansion of public outreach. I think that should be celebrated. Most people hide in their offices. Also, you did cut the budget nearly 10% last year. I don't know where you cut $6 million from. As you may know, I attended the budget workshop last night, all 3 lovely hours of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's been announced yet, but the budget is being held basically flat for this year. And that's really hard to do. Last good thing, you've also been amazing at getting grants to this city, something I don't think was happening before. And these are things that people need to understand. Everybody likes to complain, but let's see the good that is being done. And you don't fix 40 years of problems, again, really quickly. So 2 questions. Unfortunately, they're both going to relate to taxes.
Okay.
I just learned this today in something I read. Doesn't state law incent data centers?
Yes.
And doesn't state law waives their personal property taxes on the equipment, right? So that's nothing we did. That's state law. And that's one of the reasons Indiana's getting so many of these data centers.
So let me say this too. So in April, I believe it happened in April, the very end of March while we were down there, but there was legislation that was passed, and that's probably why these projects were fast-tracked, because they were waiting to see what was going to happen downstate. And that whole legislative piece passed late in the session, and then lo and behold, you start getting all these requests, right? So I think that's part of it. I think that's part of it. I do have a fear, though, and my fear is, we're seeing throughout the state people are denying some of these places to come in. Who's to say they won't pass additional legislation that usurps what the locals decide? I could see that happening.
Then the more complicated question is, Can you help me and the public understand the benefits of tax abatements?
Yes.
Are they a tax giveaway or are they income to the city?
Income.
I
So
am baffled. Thank
it's
you very
both.
much.
So tax abatements, we do have an ordinance that anybody can pull up. So, I'll use that, but for. So I'm trying to decide if I want to expand my business here or somewhere else. Someone said, well, you're giving away taxes, right? You're giving away money. It's money that we don't have already. It's $0 at that point. They're not expanding. They're not building anything new. They're not putting new equipment in. They're not hiring additional people. None of that is happening. You provide incentives to people so that they stay here local, number one, keep the jobs, retain them. Then number two, provide maybe additional jobs, income tax, live here, whatever that might be. But for that expansion, you wouldn't get anything else, right? And we're going to be based on local income tax here soon and not property taxes. So tax abatement is an incentive for people to expand their businesses and to stay here. So like, for instance, the data center. We give a tax abatement on the equipment inside. We didn't do a tax abatement on the construction. Because quite frankly, we didn't know what it was going to be until it came to us, right? So right now we get $21,000 a year for property taxes. All right. So once this is completed, we'll get about $1 million to $1.5 million over the next 40 years versus $21,000. So we gave them a tax abatement, but we were getting $21,000. Now we're going to get $1.5 million or so. So you look at D. Martin Enterprise. I can give you a list of them because the data center is a unicorn. It's a unicorn project. But you can go to D. Martin Enterprises. You can go to any business park or GAF. You can name any company. They all have come to us for tax abatements. GAF has, facilities all over the United States, but they decided to expand here. We gave them an incentive to stay here. Well, we have a lot of people who live here that work there, right? So we still get some taxes off of those properties. But do you want them to create a $10 or $20 million new facility or not? That's what an incentive is. That's why we have them. So that's kind of, in layman's terms for me, there's a more technical answer for that. I will have to pull out the actual ordinance to explain it to you. But in a nutshell, it's an incentive to get people to stay here or to expand here or to build here. And some of the tax abatements could be on construction. It could be on equipment. That particular one is on equipment. So that's what it is in a nutshell. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name's Kyle Ratliff. I've lived in Michigan City all my life. I'm 28 years old. It's my first time being here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. So I just have a couple of questions on the data center. Just sort of researching into it, you find that there's a lot of different places that have been doing data centers a lot of different ways. And people are concerned with things like the electrical use, the water use. People are concerned with things like, hearing reports coming from like Georgia, Wisconsin, even New Carlisle, about disrupted water supplies. And, in New Carlisle, they're stating that they can't even drink their own water. So what's the city's plan to go about like handling this the right way? And then also, I believe it was back in July, there was no interest in pursuing the data center. And I'm just sort of curious how we went from no interest to interest, or maybe that's just a rumor that's being
Now,
spread around.
I'll clarify that for you.
Sure.
So, July, that was a statement from me.
Okay.
The statement from me is that I revoked the NDA for I revoked the NDA. And the statement from me is that if you want to pursue this, you need to deal directly with the city council.
So-
I'm not going to interject myself. I'm not going to participate. I asked for certain things for the city, and we didn't necessarily agree on what that was,
Sure.
right? And the benefit for the city. I wanted to make sure that we had guarantees that we're going to get so much money annually, which they did come back and give more than what I asked for.
Right.
I will say that, but maybe that was just a negotiation tactic that I thought they were going to walk away once I was done. But water, let's talk about this site compared to other places. And I'm not an expert, so I'm going to put that disclaimer up. I am not an expert on data centers at all. I'm not a water expert or anything. I did work for NIPSCO. I know just a little bit.
Right.
But what I will say is that this brownfield site is a little bit different than what we've been seeing across America. They're taking farmland. These are areas that don't necessarily have water already run to those areas. So I'm not a geologist around water tables and putting brand new pipes in the ground and
Right.
and expanding. Ours is a little bit different because it was already a manufacturing facility.
Right.
And Michigan City historically, and you wouldn't remember this necessarily, but was a manufacturing town. We had multiple, factories and things that were using water. And that just has not been the case. This is a closed loop system from what I understand. You're going to have that big amount of money, the amount of water that comes in, and then it's closed loop system, you flush it and whatever.
Sure.
So a little bit different than being in the middle of a cornfield with
Right.
3 miles of pipe going in the ground and everybody fighting on who's going to get the water and who's
Right.
going to sell the water. So I feel like we're uniquely different in a sense that we're a repurposed building and versus a brand new construction of tons of buildings, a lot of concrete, a lot of worrying about the water table and all of that. So I think that is the difference. All of the data centers around that I've been seeing are in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
which I think that's why the problem is presenting itself that way.
Okay. And then the last thing that I guess I'd want to ask is just, do you know if there's any intention for this data center with it being so close to NIPSCO? Is there any plans for this data center to draw water from the lake and use the lake as a source of water for the data center?
I hadn't heard that.
Okay.
Unlike I did go visit the data center in Hammond and they use Lake Michigan, the water.
Sure.
But I hadn't heard that. I know our director of the water department is here, but that's not something I heard about using Lake Michigan water.
Okay.
So,
Thank you so much.
I mean, everything we drink is Lake Michigan water, but you know what I mean. Who's up? This is a quiet bunch. Is it because we're in church? We're supposed to be loud in church. All right. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor Angie.
Hello.
Thanks so much for having town halls. It's really a great chance to be able to, with your people here to answer our questions. So really appreciate that. Had a question for you about the location of the halfway house with
The respite?
Yeah, respite halfway house. They're synonyms. With the LaPorte County Drug-Free Partnership at Annam Wabash. I was told, I don't want to drop names,
Okay.
but by a high-ranking person at Ton and Blank, that the decision as to location rested on you. So I thought that's why, that's what I was told. So that was sort of news to me. I know you and I have had a little bit of dialogue about this in the past.
No, it doesn't rest on me, but
So
I will
do we
say,
know who it rests upon? Because I feel like, there was, I don't know if you saw the front page article on the Herald Dispatch about the petition.
I have a copy.
Okay, that, it just seems like as the neighbors who live there, we just keep getting ping-ponged around between Franciscan, Ton and Blank, we just keep getting told different things and
I can give you an update.
I would love it. Thank you.
Okay.
I will be quiet. Thank
I
you.
met with them this week.
Oh, awesome.
So we did have a conversation this week, and they provided alternative sites. I won't say what they are. We think there's one location that is a a great site. It's not in that area. That would be my number one choice, because it's not. It's in an area that has other facilities that are similar. I'll say that. So they're going back and vetting that. So, but they did provide 4 alternative sites. So they are doing their homework, and they heard you loud and clear. So that's where
great.
we're at.
That's great. So do we know going forward who is making the decision at the end of the day? I mean,
Again, they're looking for land to be donated to them. So that's the process. But I don't own the land. The city doesn't own any of this land. We have not gifted. I shared with them that if they were going to be at that site, that the city will not be providing any funding. So I don't know how it rests on me, but I did share that. I mean, that's factual. I said, if you move to that site, and if you continue to move down that site, the city will not provide any funding. So they've looked at alternative sites, and they've visited a couple places that they thought they could possibly rehab, and that didn't work out either. So they're moving down the path. They're trying to do it quickly, but they did have 4 alternative sites that they shared with us.
okay, so then as far as an update, like as a decision, we just don't know yet.
Nope, but I met with them Monday or Tuesday this week. I don't even know which day. Yesterday? Oh, I met with them yesterday. Okay, yeah, it's been
I know
a
that
week.
feeling.
It's been a week. But that's where we're at. So, I think they heard the residents. So I think
Okay.
that's where they're at.
Okay, thank you.
Questions? Come on up.
Yeah, just to respond to Eileen, this is Tommy Klovic again. I know the drug-free partnership from LaPorte County was Dr. Mickey Webb and John Gilmer from Ton and Blank. It was Mitch from the Recovery House in Valpo. I forgot the guy's last name, but they're from Valpo. I think he's an attorney or something like that. But he runs the Recovery House. They went to the LaPorte County Council back in November along with Judge Greta Friedman, and they got a $750,000 appropriation from the LaPorte County Council for that site. I think if this doesn't happen in the year, everybody needs to go to the county council and tell them to rescind that $750,000 allocation. I think if you can go, after if they don't get going a year, they can go to the prosecutor and bring it up with him. So I think that's where they need to go with that.
Part of that is ARPA money. Let me say this.
They're getting it from the CEDA and the opioid funding for the county.
There's a couple of buckets. And they did receive money from the Healthcare Foundation as well for $750,000. There is a need for a respite house. I don't want people to think that there isn't a need. There is a need. I know that people don't want it in their backyard. I still fully support that we need one. I want to make that clear. I'm not against one. I think we need it. They are applying for a matching grant, and the city is too, for prevention. We're applying for $150,000. I think they can apply for up to $500,000 for this respite home. The grant I'm working on is due October 6th. I think theirs is due the end of the year. But there is a need for it. I don't want people to think and stigmatize. I think people are trying to stigmatize the people that live there. Okay? It's not right. We're in church. I'm just going to say it like that. I know people don't want it in their backyard, but there still is a need for this respite house. We just got to find the right place for it. I don't want people calling people saying, saying stuff, because I know that at the little meeting that was had, there were some disparaging remarks about people who are suffering from addiction. And I don't think it's right. Okay, so I just want to be clear about that. We're going to figure it out. I'm going to work with them. We're going to figure out where it's going. But there is a need for a respite house. Back in the days of when I was growing up, we had Walters Clinic. We had other places that were available, and now there's nothing. And then we talk about, drug overdose, and we talk about all these things, but we don't want to help people who want to have a clean, sober place to stay, right? So I just want to be clear about that. Any other questions? Yes.
Hello, Mayor. Scott Melland again. Nobody's brought up the violence we've had this summer.
Yeah.
There's very little we can do to be proactive on that, unfortunately. You can't control human nature. But we've had an incident at the gas station, the BP station on Michigan Boulevard, right across from the gas station. Apparently, this is a gathering spot for our youth and others. I'm wondering, not so much what the police can do, but what kind of pressure can we put on shopkeepers to
That's a good
trespass
question.
people so the police can actually do something? Because the police can't trespass people, the property owner has to, or the person in control. Not just that location, but other locations. What kind of pressure as a community can we put on them to say, hey, we need you to help us help you? I think there's a movie that uses that line.
Yeah.
But, finally, the Supreme Court, I believe, and again, maybe not the best place to bring this up, but has changed the rules where cities do have more leeway as far as vagrancy and the unhoused population. As compassionate as a community as we are, there's an equal side that there's a problem with the unhoused population. So what pressure can we put on people, the shopkeepers, to help us?
Okay. There's a couple, so I'll start with, we talk about vagrancy. I know this week, I received, for the last few weeks, complaints about panhandlers, right? We always, seems like they got really aggressive in the last couple of weeks, on 421. And I was like, go give them tickets. I mean, I was like, I'm done. Go give them warning tickets. Tell them after Wednesday we're going to arrest them. That's where I was. That was my comment. I said, go give them a warning. Tell them after Wednesday we're going to arrest them, because too many times someone almost got hit, and now it's becoming a thing of, before they would sit, just be kind of passive about it. But when you start getting in the medians on 421 and people are turning and the sun is in your eye, I had a delivery driver reach out to me, not from Michigan City, but he almost hit one of the guys. And I'm like, somebody's going to get killed out here. And a lot of our panhandlers are not homeless. So let me not confuse the two. I know I don't know if we gave out any warnings this week. Did we give out the warnings? Because I was like, go over there and take care of it now. But we gave out warnings, and I said, we're going to arrest them. We do have laws on the books that allow us to do that. You try to be understanding, but it's becoming aggressive. And so you may have noticed that I was driving over there and I didn't really see anybody, and I was like, oh, I don't know what happened. But so that's one thing. I know we have some encampments too on the south end of town that our social worker, and we're going to begin before it gets cold, trying to address some of that to make sure we figure something out. One of the things that I know that Bloomington does, and I mentioned it before, that we're talking about, is getting them back to their families. Write a grant, get some money, send people back to where they came from. And when I say that in a manner that if you get them reconnected with family, they're less likely to stay homeless. And I think that is something that we have not tried to do. A lot of the folks that are homeless are not even from our region. And so until we try to reconnect them with their family members, they're going to continue to stay here. So I think that's part of it, is that we got to figure out to build the relationship and the trust, to do that. Now, as far as these locations that have been mentioned where we've had these issues, I know I've given the council a draft of a gas station ordinance that other cities have used. I don't know if that's the the way to go necessarily, even though it has been the gas stations, but it could be any location that could be a nuisance property. And I think, I know some businesses did sign on. We put out where you can sign on that you'll give us the authority to trespass. And maybe that's something we need to talk to these locations about. But why do we need to be open from 12 to 4 if you're not on the highway? I mean, 12 midnight to 4 a.m., I don't see a need for a gas station to be open in the middle of the city. Typically, gas stations that are open 24 hours are along the interstate. And we know what we've seen. I'm not trying to close the gas stations down, but if we're going to continue to see violence, we're going to have to put something in place to tell them you can't be open. Because it's a problem. So, I mean, that's what it is. I know that we've added more patrols and done some different things, but the guns and the people holding the guns, I'm not pulling the trigger. I don't know how we stop that. But I think conflict resolution is a problem. I think figuring out some prevention. I know we can use the opioid dollars for that. I met with a couple of organizations that want to do some programming that we're going to put in the matching grant. I think the more things we have for our younger people to do, the better. So, you know, that's where we're going with it.
Other shopkeepers like shop with outlet malls, what can we do to elicit their confidence to operation?
I got you. So I'll repeat it. So, you know, shoplifting at the outlet mall, it's really truly on the stores that they have to participate. We had that situation with the encampment at Walmart, and they did not want to trespass the individuals back there, and then it was a fire. So now we're all out there. We got a whole crew of folks from the city out there trying to provide services to get them somewhere safe because we didn't trespass them, and now a fire has occurred in the encampment. So those are the things we're trying to proactively prevent. And again, remember that a lot of this is mental health as well. That's a part of it. You know, young man talked about it when we talked about gun violence, about mental health when they're locked up, and, you know, but again, no one wants to give money for that. So, yeah, it's a problem.
Tommy Kolovic, 1316 Ohio Street. We do have an ordinance currently on the books that prohibits this action. It's under section 86-1. It's soliciting in streets and alley prohibited. It's under subsection B. No person shall at any time step into any street or alley or use any object to reach over into any street or alley for the purpose of soliciting any donations, money, credit, property, or other things of value, or the purpose of selling, distributing, or offering, or attempting to sell, distribute, or any merchandise, membership, subscription, ticket, or written material or other items. 2009 Michigan City Pop Warren do a helmet drive in front of Amy's Field and at 6 and Wabash in front of the Interest Lighthouse Mall. You know, we got denied because it was very honest what our previous city attorney, Mr. Esbar, read.
Well,
we got denied.
And that's what we're citing them with. And so that whole conversation came up about the Salvation Army, you know, when they do their drive, and I'm like, they're going to have to get approval, and there's going to have to be police out there. There's going to have to be all that, because that's what we're citing. That's what we're using for the citation. That very ordinance.
There's also state laws that prohibit panhandling at bus stops and train stations and in various other places too.
Yep. Thank you, Tommy. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, you're kind of segued into what I also wanted to ask you about. I really feel bad for the homeless and the addictive. I've had that in my family, so I know everything that's going on, but sometimes, you know, there's things you just have to do. But I have a question here now. I told you I live around 11th and Franklin, right? So
Right in the heart of it.
my perception is that Franklin Street between Barker and 11th is kind of a disaster area, especially north of Ripley. There's trash all over. I go out and pick up trash, and the next day it's back.
It's back.
There's overflowing garbage cans on Franklin Street at Detroit and Franklin Street at 11th, okay? Drugs are an obvious problem because there's vagrants walking around drugged out of their mind. I encountered some on Monday morning, and it was as I couldn't believe it, okay? And this is at 8 o'clock in the morning. Kids are going to school and all that. They're sleeping in the doorways. It looks to me like prostitution is taking place on Franklin Street. I don't know if anybody looks at that, but I have experience with it. I can see it. It's happening. That's not good. There's been 2 shootings on that strip, including a murder, and the strip is looking worse and worse every day. So I want to know, when's the last time you took a long walk around the area, and what's your plan to fix the blight before it gets any worse?
So
That's
that
the follow-up
area,
questions.
yes, thank you. So that area is part of, our train station district. That is correct. As far as, I know I have Chief Forker here and in the patrols, but as far as the blight, I think, we have put multiple services, it's not something that I've done, but services that support the homeless seem to be in that area. We have Keys to Hope, we have Salvation Army, and we have people walking, once they leave the overnight men's shelter. So that corridor has become just that. I think that's a conversation between the service providers that we have to have, and we will have, because homelessness is something that we got to deal with. But that didn't happen overnight. That has been happening because of the services that are provided in that area. It's what it is. There's rental properties there. Until we talk about old school techniques, and then we talk about having conversations. And I think between Chief Forker and his team, our social worker, and working with these service providers, that's just a conversation. Now, as far as the garbage, I've never seen people who just throw trash out the window on such a regular basis. I mean, I don't know when or how we got away from Pride and where we live. I don't know if it's because they're rentals. I don't know what that is. I don't know what has happened with that. That's become normalized. Soon as we pick up trash, you're right, it's right back down the next day. To the point of, I think, I know our staff and team is frustrated with it, because it seems like our increase in just landfill charges is out the roof because of it. And people just don't participate. I know that you are, but
I have another one that I wanted to, you're right on point with that, because I pick up the garbage in my neighborhood, and like I said, it's sometimes just a couple hours later, it's back. So when I walk around, I just walk around my neighborhood, and I saw some trash behind an institution on 11th Street on the sidewalk. And, so I just emailed a nice polite request, hey, can you go out and check it and pick up the garbage? So they emailed me back saying, this is a problem. I mean, this is something you're the bully pulpit. You can address this here. She writes back, it appears that most of the debris and trash is located on the public sidewalk and not directly on our property. The maintenance and cleanliness of public sidewalks typically falls outside our direct responsibility. We trust that any future issues with public sidewalk maintenance will be handled through the appropriate city services. Now, if they don't want to help, how is anybody even going to want to clean up the place?
oh, that's a rhetorical question. Thank you.
Well, it's a question that needs an answer.
I know. But again, it is, I know. But we got to pick up your regular garbage first. And if people aren't going to participate, they're not. And we can't force them to. Now, if you have some volunteer organizations that want to do that, we're willing to supply all of the supplies for that. We set aside money for it. So if you are any type of group that would like to pick up trash on a regular basis, contact our office and we'll get you everything you need. I mean, that's what it is. It's going to take community support. Because again, we're not going to be hiring more people. We still got to deal with our day-to-day services. So If businesses don't want to participate, we're going to need community support to do that, to help with it. It's sad, but that's where we're at. But as far as the vagrancy and all of that, I think that is something that we need to pull those agencies in and talk about it. You know, one of the things that I'm concerned about, we probably need a low threshold day program, a place where they can go during the day and not just walk up and down the street. I truly believe that. I think there's a need for it because that's what's happening. They're sitting on the stoops at all the different places and nobody's stopping it. If they're not going to be trespassed, we can't just remove them from a stoop if the owner allows them to do that. I mean, that's just a fact, a matter of fact. I can go in and say I don't like the look of it, but that doesn't mean they're going to do anything about it. There's nothing against that. If the owner of the location says it's okay for them to be there, they can be there. So that's where we're at. Yes, Tommy.
I don't mean to keep getting up again, but we also have another ordinance regarding the setting up in tents. This is 16.08. This is under the recreational vehicles and equipment. This is under subsection G. Tents shall not be erected or used or maintained on any lot except small tents that are customarily used for recreation purposes and are located on the same lot as a dwelling. Temporary use of tents for religious amusement and recreation business or manufacturing purpose shall be permitted when a permit has been issued by the enforcement official in accordance with the provisions within the set forth in the Article 26. So you can't go setting up a tent only if it's on your own property. Nobody should be coming to Michigan City and setting up, living in no tent. People try, like that country music, so try that in a small try. Go down to Carmel, Fishers, Noblesville, Westfield, one of those, they don't go setting up in no tents down there, I can guarantee you.
They got tent cities in a lot of cities that you don't realize. Because mayors got together in June and talked about it. And it was 30 of us there. So this is just not a Northwest Indiana problem, it's a statewide issue. I don't want people to get that twisted that it's just Michigan City, it's everywhere. And it's a lot of times behind big box stores or in nature preserves, in those wooded areas, which is a concern for me because of our trailways. I don't want people to feel unsafe on our trails. So that's something that we need to look at too. Yes, any other questions? Yes, sir.
I got a whole bunch of questions for you about that data center.
All right.
That pertains to the homeless problem and stuff too, because I was reading about it and said they bring that data center in for $800-something million, but there aren't no locals working on it to build it or anything like that. And it's only 30 jobs. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't even make no sense. And then we're footing the bill for the infrastructure for it and the NIPSCO that's for them. Not only are these data causing problems with water, you know what I mean, people's wells and stuff like that from them draining it to put their infrastructure in.
I'll start with that part because I know you got a couple. So I will say that we're being told that there aren't any locals that are working on these jobs. I did pull together a meeting with 2 of the unions and met with them along with the developer about bringing people on board. There are several local companies that are on site that have Michigan City and LaPorte County residents working. Okay, so that's one thing. I just don't want to clear that up. In that meeting that I convened, they cleared up a lot of things amongst themselves. The developer has been contacting local union contractors to come on site to do work. Leadership from some of those unions are stopping them from coming on site. Okay? So what that does in return is, instead of having those locals who could be on site and these local companies that are Michigan City and LaPorte companies who could be working on site, Now they're having to go out of state because they won't allow those local companies who could be making the money come on site. So I want to clear that up because I brought them into City Hall and we had that conversation. There is some confusion though. This abatement had nothing to do with the construction of that site. So there was construction happening prior to this abatement. Again, legislation changed, state offered some things, came for the abatement for the equipment inside once they got their client. But again, they are proactively ask for 3 to 4 contractors within 15 miles of Michigan City to work on that site. They said everything we got left, we'll give to local contractors, local union and contractors who are Michigan City LaPorte. They said Michigan City first though.
They should have had it first.
They said Michigan City first. So don't let the big billboards or whatever fool you about all these out-of-state workers. One thing that we did ask though, I said, you guys have properties all over America. They said, well, yeah, we have one company that we source with that does all of our roofs all over across America. That's why all those people were from somewhere else. They do all their roofs for all their projects. But they committed to giving them all the work that was left. Now, if they say yes or no, that's on them. But the local companies that have been contacted who want to work have been stopped from working on that job. And you can take that to the bank. I sat there in that meeting with them. So that's where we're at on that.
Okay, and then, why was it here? Why did that data center get put in Michigan City?
Huh?
Why was it put in Michigan City?
I mean, they're putting them all over the place. Michigan City is not like unique in any way. The only unique thing
Well, I know
about
they
Michigan
wasn't a
City,
vote on it, like if you wanted it to come here or not, because I was reading in the paper that a couple of these other places said they didn't want it and they can get data centers put in their
because it was
places.
a zoning issue. So let me tell you the difference. So we were talking, were you here?
So these are mandatorily putting in, but if there's zoning problems, you can't put them in?
No, so let me explain it. So were you here when we were talking about farmland and all of that?
No, I missed, I was a little
Okay.
late when I come.
So in many cases, these data centers are going in the middle of farmland where farmers or whoever, or city property or city land. I think Fort Wayne has one. The city owned the property. I think in some of the places in Porter County, there was farmland. So for those, they had to be rezoned. So whenever you have to rezone property, you have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And that's a process. That's a process where there's public hearings. They have to notify anyone within so many feet. They have to go through all of these iterations of things to vote on it before it even gets to the city council. So they go through the Board of Zoning. Then that zoning comes to the city council. Then it goes through a series of hearings.
Okay.
We didn't have that. They asked for an abatement on equipment. They didn't ask for a rezoning or change. So that's why there was no back and forth and all these opportunities to have a conversation. If you look at all the data centers, the voting of no was on the zoning. On the zoning.
Okay, I had a question on how is it gonna, impact on the environment, bringing it in and all the infrastructure that they're putting in, stuff like that, the water, what's it doing, we got.
I'm not the expert on
know
that.
about it?
I'm not the expert, but those conversations were had in multiple meetings, because remember, they had a city council meeting, they had a workshop, they postponed it, they tabled it, and then they had another one. So there were conversations. There were several trips that several people took to other data centers, and those were the questions that were brought up. So again, I'm not the expert on that, but I know that that was a manufacturing plant before. Yes, sir. You have a question? Yeah, comment? Okay.
And then I had questions, them bringing that big of a thing in, what, did you get like tax exemptions for the city, stuff like that? You know what I mean, from bringing that big of a company in?
That's what all these companies, we get money from them.
Right.
Yes,
what,
we
what
do.
does that do for the community though? Like, what does that?
That
money go-
keeps services running. We're about to lose $3.7 million by 2028. So now, 2027, when this goes online, we get $5.5 million right off the grip.
Okay.
All right? And then after that, we get $500,000 a year, every year, no matter what. And then up for the 40 years. And then after that, we still get money, property tax money. For the first 10 years, it's going to be about $500,000. And then after that, for the next 20 years, it's going to be about $1 million. So that's what we get out of it.
Okay. Well, and as you know, I graduated that drug court program, you know, and it really changed my life. So, about the homeless problem and all that, I believe we need to look into things about low income housing. We need things about better paying jobs that come here that support more jobs. You know, we sit in a really good spot where Michigan City is, right on the tip of the lake, you know. So there could be a lot of infrastructure put in and stuff, and it can combat with a lot of that, you know, and not just taking them to jail and just throw them in jail and then let them back out into a shitty situation. It doesn't make any sense to do that and not have programming to help them to get jobs and to adequate into society. And I really realize that because
I agree with that.
I mean, it's been years I've done drugs.
Well, let me say this to you, and we have Ms. Keela is our Director of Workforce and Education. Raise your hand. So we're starting to. It's not next week; it's the week after next. So the Indiana plan, we're funding that. So it's a pre-apprenticeship program, and it's for the unions, and several unions actually sponsored it. And we have our first class that Michigan City is putting on through the Indiana plan, and there's 2 unions that already committed to whoever graduates, they'll take them and put them on the job site. So we want to do that more often in Michigan City. So we're looking for ways to do that. Okay. So we'll get your name and information and make sure if we have another class that you're on that list.
All right, appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's all I got. Yeah, but I'm saying they don't want to put in a center for them people and stuff. They want to complain about them being downtown and stuff. You know, put something in for them so it's not. For
I agree with you.
Not doing that.
I agree with you. Make sure we get your information though.
Okay.
Last bite at the apple, Mayor. Last year, the city council appropriated $400,000, I think, for the Elson campus. I don't know what we're calling that. It's kind of ties in.
The city didn't, the redevelopment commission did.
Ah, well, that's good.
Okay.
So they've got the money.
Yeah, no, it wasn't us.
But could we have a status update of the status
Sure.
of that? Because that ties into what a lot of his concerns and other
We just
concerns
had a meeting yesterday.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
So, the Opportunity Hub at Elston. So, Elston, again, we've been working, kind of supporting an effort at Elston to create like a workforce readiness campus, in Michigan City. We haven't said a whole lot about it because there's a lot in the background that's happening with the school system, with Center for Workforce Innovation, Work One, the city. And the YMCA. So what we're looking at doing, so Goodwill Industries is one of the partners. I can't even think of all the partners right now, but AK Smith, we're looking at putting a commercial kitchen in, welding, not just for the school system, but for residents. We're looking for a one-stop shop where people can go and get the services that they need, right? Whether they want to get a GED, whether they want to get a welding certificate, whether they're going to be in a culinary program. We're working with Ivy Tech to take up some of that space as well. We're talking to Franciscan about putting a food program there. So we're looking for, it's the title Opportunity Hub, it's a model that's been used in some other places in the country. And this is a part of the READY dollars that the state has given. So the City Redevelopment Commission put forth some money to help with the groundwork for that. The goal is to try to also help the YMCA rebuild there, expand there, or whatever that is. So that's the update. Right now, the plans are underway. They have some tenants that are there. They've talked to the Boys and Girls Club as well, but Northwest Indiana Works is what it's called. Is that the right name? NWI Works? NWI Works is the name of the organization that's been established. And they're working with the school system on securing their final agreement to actually have control of the site. And that's where they're at right now. But they're moving along. So hadn't said a whole lot about it, but I just got that update yesterday. Any other questions?
I want to bring Chief Forker in on this. Welcome back to being chief. So I got a couple questions. Just one of them is at the city council meetings, Chief Corley would read off some stats about, the monthly stats. One of them he would read out is, how many speeding tickets were given out. And then he would say, we did 150 speeding tickets. 10 of them were tickets and 140 were warnings. So I was just kind of wondering, do the warnings deter excessive speeds in Michigan City, or?
And let me ask another question, because we don't receive any funds for those tickets, do we?
Not for warning tickets, no.
I mean, for speeding tickets.
There's a small percentage, but most of that goes through the prosecutor's office, right? That goes back to the prosecutor's office.
And then another question another statistic that's read out is how many firearms are recovered every month. So he said 28 in June and 19 in July. I was just kind of curious, how are those recovered firearms broken down? Is it mainly from arrests, weapons that are turned in, or some other recovery?
There's going to be a different, I would say, line of charges, but generally those are, people that are in unlawful possession. Right? Most of those charges are in line with unlawful possession.
Yeah.
Generally by a felon or some sort of.
Well, I mean, 29, there's 29 guns turned in what was it? June, but I don't think there was 29 arrests for unlawful possession. But I mean, just maybe it's a statistic that's not right off
A
on.
series of, I would say, different.
Yeah, and what I suggest to you is that if you have specific questions like that, they're not going to answer that right here. You should probably make that request to them if you want like a specific answer to that.
FOI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just ask. They don't necessarily even have to have you do that.
I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
But here's something that I mentioned to you at the last meeting. I was talking about, these court cases that go on in the courts, and really nobody's there. Is anybody from the prosecutor's office here tonight by any chance? Okay, well, they're not going to like this. But anyway, I told you, maybe we get some people together, go sit in court and show that the citizens are there. And I've been going to court, and I really learned a couple astounding things. So first, on June 10th, a guy by the name of Arthur Smith shot up Lauren Drive. You guys do you remember that one at all?
I know you keep bringing up people's names and things in these.
Yeah, but I'm getting to a point.
Okay, let's get to
All right.
point.
And it's pretty serious because the SWAT team was involved in arresting him, right? March 9th, a guy by the name of Sean Murray shot up the BP on Detroit and Franklin, and it took a few weeks to pick that guy up. Arthur Smith was just given probation for that.
And the police has no control over
I know they don't, but
and you keep
does-
saying their name.
does anybody in the police department or your office kind of keep track of these cases so they can call up the prosecutor and say, this guy's a violent felon with a gun?
Yes, they
why
do.
are we letting
So
them
let me share this about the police. The police department, they spend a lot of time and effort getting these people arrested.
I understand
and
that,
doing
yeah.
the investigative work, right? So of course they don't want to see people out on the street, and they do verbalize that and they do share that with the prosecutor's office in that regard. And I think that's something we're trying to build a better relationship to make them understand it, and I think they do, but it's still up to the judges as well. And I think that's a whole conversation, and that's a whole systemic thing that has occurred. And you can look at the statistics of each of the judges to see who's doing what, and that's an election thing that has to happen. And I think the public should take note of that. People know who's more lenient and who's not. But again, bringing that up in this meeting and naming names like that, I don't
Well,
think.
they've been arrested. and
I know
charged,
they've
so
been
it's in the-
arrested,
it's in
but I
the
don't
public
think that
record.
is a good use of time for this.
I'm
I
just-
think, because we did talk about it, and that's something that our team is talking about. But I don't think, and I can ask them to come to this, but it's a city town hall, and that's a county function.
It's a city problem with
It is a
violence,
city
though.
problem with violence, and I don't want them back out on the street, especially the repeat offenders.
Again, I'd like to see you use your bully pulpit to, let the judges know that the people don't want these people out on the street. We want
Yeah, we
them
don't.
locked up. I'm looking at all the people that got arrested, and the average age is in their 30s. Okay, so these aren't people that it's their first arrest or second arrest. It's
Correct.
people that have been in and out of the court system. They have multiple felonies, and they're walking the street. I just don't understand that. And that's where your bully pulpit could come in.
And that's where the next election is important. Any other questions? None? Have 20 more minutes. Well, we don't have to. We don't have to, but, all right, what else you
I'm
got?
back. I actually had a conversation today with Captain Jesse, the head of our traffic division, and we spoke literally about speeding tickets and the warnings. He had a very compassionate viewpoint that I think people would be surprised about. When you look at the demographics of our city, we have a lot of not super wealthy people, and a speeding ticket is $171. So actually, the warnings, your implication that they have limited effectiveness is warranted. But the compassionate side of it is you can really, really mess people up with something as simple as a speeding ticket. It can really cascade.
Or towing someone's car.
Or towing their car if the registration is back. If you are a struggling person juggling 2 or 3 part-time jobs to try to make it happen and get your kid to school, and then all of a sudden you lose your car, it can really cascade. So I too was puzzled and surprised by that kind of 90% warning ratio on tickets. But that's actually the compassionate side of policing and the discretionary side of policing. So that's just the other side of it that I thought we'd bring out, because I really literally spoke to Captain Jesse today at the station about it. So that's something for us to think about.
And, I mean.
But those
even-
prosecutors or those judges, maybe the bully pulpit is appropriate place to say, hey, if you commit a weapons charge, it should be like passing a bus with their stop arm out. No discretion.
Right.
You're going to get incarcerated for some period of time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And then we're going to wrap up after this, and I'll have some
I
closing
just want to
remarks.
end on a positive note. There's one more Saturday left this season of the Michigan City Farm and Forage Farmers Market at 8th and Washington. I think it was great since the collective took it over this year. I think there were more vendors come out. They had quality product. More people came out. I thought it was really great. Had to just do it the same way this year. I don't know if it's going to be a different location or there's going to be any develop on that lot. But did you hear about the farmers market vendor who crossed an owl with a female goat? It was a real hootenanny.
You're so wrong. Thank you, Tommy. And the farmer's market has been great. Please go out there and see the vendors. It'll be there next year. Again, the collective has a 2-year contract, so it'll be 1 more year. You're going to have vendors. I know next weekend is the last weekend with the collective, but there's going to be several that are going to be out there through the month of October still. They won't be accepting EBT, though, after next weekend. We've had triple SNAP bucks this whole season. So if you have food stamps, you would get triple the bucks. If you had $20, you would get $60 in food. So this Saturday is the last Saturday for that. So with that being said, if all hearts and minds are, no. Again, thank you to New Hope for hosting us. I know we have one more this year. Thank you to our team for coming out. But again, feel free to talk to our folks when you have them here. Catch them afterwards if you have a particular question. If you have a concern, they're here for that. That's what they're here for. If you have any questions or concerns, I know that we got a couple of grants that we're still waiting to hear on. We've submitted additional money for a Safe Streets grant. We received some money from NERC to evaluate a roundabout. I know that's a bad word in some areas, but we are looking at some I called it street road diets. Some of that, the opioid $150,000 grant, we still have to submit. And I have a food grant that is due at October 24th that I'm writing as well. So we've been writing grants. We're waiting to hear back on our fire safety grant. We haven't heard back on that. We should be knowing about that sometime soon. And we have 2 outstanding requests of Congressman Frank Mervan. One is for the old police hub here on the west side, for a resource center there. And the other one is for Michigan Boulevard. And then we're submitting our road paving grant. That's due October 3rd. So we got a lot going on right now within the city. So we're going to continue to move forward. Our team is working hard. Our permits, man, they are like gangbusters. So we have never seen growth like this before in Michigan City. It's been a long time. But with growing pains comes, it's a lot. It's a lot. Our team, we're stressing our team, but we're looking for ways to support them with some outside reinforcement. So that'll be coming here soon. So thank you all for coming this evening, and until the next one. So thank you all for being here.
I got one thing to say. Y'all got how many of you guys